way through breaking down the 64 worst bills in Virginia in 2026. March Badness. Senator Stanley, boy, I'm excited. Today we're going to break down the House Nova bills. I will tell you that if the Virginia General Assembly were a Bible all about bad ideas, the House of Delegates Nova Democrat Caucus would be Genesis in the beginning, right? And so we got some crazy stuff. Let's just attack this right out of the gates. House Bill 1384 comes in strong with the 1 seed, but what a crazy draw in the first round. House Bill 1384, Delegate Luke Torian out of Prince William County, Virginia. This is the redistricting. I call this the Emperor Palpatine. We're just going to cede control to the Emperor until the crisis abates, and then we promise we'll give it back. This is where they smash and grab 4 United States congressional seats because apparently the logic that prevails in the Democrat caucus is tantamount to kindergarten. They did it first. And they've thrown out, oh my gosh, I've lost count, 5 or 6 laws have been retroactively thrown out. I want to get a hat that says make ex post facto laws illegal again, but there's just so much here. That is, I mean, it's a 1 seed for a reason. There's never been anything like this done in Virginia before. But Texas, and so you get the courts telling Texas they needed to redraw their maps. Then Trump weighs in with some Trumpian, whatever. And then Texas redraws the maps, and the Democrats go apoplectic in California and Illinois and Virginia as if the Democrats think Republicans invented gerrymandering. Folks, New England, 6 states, 21 House of Representatives seats, 40% Republicans, 0 seats, right? These guys have been gerrymandering before we knew who Jerry Ormander was. So House Bill 1384 is a 1 seed for a reason, but what a ridiculously tough draw. Coming up against the gas-powered leaf blower ban. I'm going to tell you what, you got to tune in and vote. Caleb from the mower store is going to guest debate the gas-powered leaf blower ban. And the mower store down in Ridgeway, Martinsville area, Virginia has strong following. Senator Stanley, if the mower store fan club shows up, this most horrific 1 seed may get a run for its money, but I think what may happen is that Caleb may say, look, I mean, I like gas-powered leaf blowers perhaps more than the next guy, but I'm not sure this is a worse bill than 1384. I think that the redistricting power grab gerrymander, let's intentionally disenfranchise minorities bill from the Democrats sneaks past a strong 16 seed. What do you think?
This may go into overtime. This is the most shocking seeding we've seen from the committee. The 1 and the 16. That 16 in my mind should be a 2. It's one of Stanley Steemer's. It's on my list. It was a clear winner, I thought, to the Final Four. Maybe it shows up on the Senate side, but on the House side, it's going up against a big monster in redistricting. You're talking about affecting voter rights for the next 10 years, politicians picking who represents us, not the voter. This hopefully will go down April 21st. And that may be the biggest victory of all for this 1 seed. But I'm telling you right now, gas leaf blower ban by Sullivan. Senator Saddam Salim offered the same bill, went through local governments where I used to be chair. I asked him the question, you're starting with the gas-powered leaf blower, you're going to go to the weed whacker, you're going to go to the tractor, you're going to go to the agricultural supplies and engines and tools that we use to harvest crops. He agreed. This was the camel's nose under the tent, which made it so viable as a Final Four pick. Quite frankly, we're glad that it got beat. Even the Democrats looked at me and said, make the motion to pass by indefinitely. Because he said the quiet part out loud. But I got to go with you, man. Number 1 sneaks by 16, but I'm telling you, it might be in double overtime.
I'm going to tell you what, guys, this is a heck of a bracket. You need to tune in. You need to tell your friends to tune in. Next, we're going to move to the 8-9 seed game. Look, Senator Stanley, we've already talked about the 16-1 here. This is like a consolation prize to see who gets to lose to either the Redistricting Disenfranchisement Act or the gas-powered leaf blower bill in round 2. Firearm buyback, Josh Cole arguably shouldn't be in the Nova bracket, right? I think some people in the Fredericksburg, Stafford area are going to be pretty ticked off to find out that whoever did these seedings considers them Nova. Guys, I still consider Stafford County and Fredericksburg strongly Rova, rest of Virginia, not Northern Virginia. But here they are, finding themselves as the 8th seed in the House Democrat Nova bracket. Firearm buyback goes up against earned sentence credits. Essentially, that says that the judge used to have latitude to impose a sentence for a crime that you committed without regard to any time that you served prior to conviction. He could say, yeah, I know that you sat here for 30 days awaiting trial, but we want to give you the full 90 days or the full year, what have you. That takes that power out of the hands of the judges. It's a soft on crime bill. And then the firearms buyback is, hey, if a locality wants to do a firearms buyback, they can. Look, I mean, ultimately going to do exactly nothing to stop gun violence, is going to take money from hardworking taxpayers and squander it on sort of feel-good virtue signaling. Both bad bills, but I just can't see either one of them having a chance against whoever comes out of that 16-1, the top of this sub bracket. What do you think, Senator Stanley?
I got to agree. I'm going to start out this morning agreeing with you, Tom. When you look at the firearm buyback, it actually allows for public funds. That's government funds. That's your taxpayer dollars to actually buy back these firearms. These firearms can be new firearms, but most likely they're old firearms that don't even work, but you'll get some cash for it, and you, the taxpayer, will pay for it. Then what happens with the guns when they're taken back? Are they redistributed? Are they destructed? The law wasn't exactly clear. So that's a really bad bill, House Bill 702. Going up against earned sentence credits, this is exactly HB 361 Seabold. Again, soft on crime. He had a bad childhood. I know he's serving 40 years, but let's give more earned credits in jail. Let's put the offender back out on the street. Quite frankly, he might have been an offender with a firearm and hurt somebody with it, but you know what? He had a bad childhood. He didn't have the opportunities that other might have had. So let's put him out there and just hope that he doesn't commit another crime with that firearm. Really bad bill. It's going to make Virginia less safe. I got to agree with you. I think no matter who wins this one, it's going to get taken down by redistricting or gas leak blower ban. But I'm going with the firearm buyback. Terrible, terrible bill. And it just runs afoul of the Second Amendment.
So here we go down to the magical 512, right? We've gotten past the top of this beast bracket with a crazy 116. We've got firearm manufacturer liability and electric or energy efficiency upgrades. So let's hit the 12 seed first, energy efficiency upgrades. Dude, these guys are very clever when it comes to redistribution of wealth. So what this says is that if you have an income that's in a certain range, we're going to make sure that we can help you get energy efficiency upgrades at your home. And we're going to take money from, the people who make 31% of the poverty level and give it to people who make 30 or less. It's incredible where this sort of arbitrary lines are drawn. It ultimately pushes everyone's power bills higher and redistributes wealth from one segment of the hardworking population to another that is on essentially the public support circumstance. So pretty darn bad bill, but I think that you got to take the 5 seed firearm manufacturer liability. This is the my spoon made me fat bill. I am an attorney for about 10 months of the year and a delegate for about 2, as is my colleague, Senator Stanley. And my dad told me something when I was young, just because something's legal doesn't make it right. And so I had a guy contact me who wanted some legal work done the other day, and he described to me what he wanted done. And I went around 6 ways from Sunday on whether was it legal, moral, ethical, and it was, and it was, and it was. And I still said, no, sir, I don't want to do that work. We're trying to create a circumstance here where we can take an individual accountability and responsibility for whatever is done and impute it to someone else. This is, again, the equivalent of saying, well, I want to sue the spoon manufacturer because I'm fat. This is the equivalent of saying that I want to sue the Mexican restaurant that Bill and I ate at for lunch today because I got to ride for 3 hours in the car with him afterwards, and that was unpleasant. This is the equivalent of saying that we should be able to sue our parents because we have a really unsightly nose. It makes no sense whatsoever. It's also preempted by federal legislation, the Lawful Commerce and Firearms Act. It's about 20 years old. The patrons certainly knew that. They don't care. This is the sort of legislative equivalent to Andrew Jackson saying that they've made their ruling. Now let's see them enforce it. What's going to happen is this is going to lose in court, but not until after the Commonwealth has spent millions of dollars, as well as law-abiding citizens, in order to sort of defend their rights. And there ought to really be a punishment, don't you think, Senator Stanley, for people who carry bills that they know are preempted by existing law when I mean, obviously the punishment could be unelect them, but the clown who brought this bill, his district, you can't help them. You can't fix stupid. They suffer from UI, if you will. But gosh, I think firearms manufacturer liability wins in a just a smackdown, despite the fact that the redistribution scheme and energy efficiency upgrades is as bad as it is.
This may be over at halftime. I'm telling you right now, what you've got is HB2 energy efficiency upgrades. The sponsor of this bill, Sickles, abandoned ship in the House of Delegates, went to the administration. So it's a bill he throws in there and then leaves. If you think about that bill alone, what they're trying to do is make themselves feel better while they're mandating and forcing us to have solar farms on our agricultural property down here in Southside and Southwest Virginia. But they can put in energy efficient windows and they feel good about it when they plug in their Prius and they hope the electric genie is putting in all that great solar power from our area, so they feel better when they go on the Beltway and spend 2 hours a day on it, driving around, giving people the middle finger and yelling at other cars. I got to agree with you, though. Dan Helmer redrew the number one seed, the redistricting. He was at the lead. He wanted a congressional district. He makes a lobster district out of everything. This guy doesn't even want to be in the House of Delegates. So what does he do? He puts in one of the dumbest, worst bills, HB 21, same as Senator Williams-Graves. We talked about it earlier. Quite frankly, it also has a provision in there that says the manufacturer or the seller of the firearm, a gun store, may not have intended for it to be used illegally, but if it's used illegally, even if they had no such intention, they can be held liable. What does that tell you? That tells you they're stupid and they don't care about the Second Amendment. Got to agree with you on this one. Manufacturer liability for firearms moves on to the second round. It's going to be a barn burner blowout.
I'll tell you what, that sets up an incredible matchup with the 413. I think that the firearm manufacturer liability is a strong bill. The top of this bracket, the 116 game's crazy. House Bill 1524, Garrett McGuire. I am going to carry a bill next year to revoke his Garrett privileges. I don't know how that one slipped out. But that one, I call it the transport ban. If you read the bill, essentially it says that no firearm meeting the following criteria, which changed about 1,000 times during the course of this because nobody doing gun legislation knows anything about guns. But no firearm meeting these criteria may be transported, and it literally says on any street, road, alley, sidewalk. So essentially, they're calling it an open carry ban. It's a transport ban, right? And depending upon what sort of weapon you're trying to carry from your farm to your neighbor's farm, if you have a pickup truck without a rear seat and, you don't have a metal box screwed to the back of the bed of the truck, you can't even transport it next door to go hunting. It is a Stanley steamer, if ever there was one. But it runs into Delegate Elizabeth Guzman's bill. She is previously noted, and she lost her seat, which she held after she carried a bill that would essentially criminalize parents attempting to interfere with their children trying to transition themselves, right? Let that sink in. So she is no stranger, despite her absence for 2 years from this body, to stupid ideas. Forced hiring expires January 2021, 2029. And why is that, Senator Stanley? Well, that's the day after the next president will have been inaugurated. So this is a bill that's designed specifically based on who's in the White House. And what this bill says is, if you got doged, if you got kicked out of federal government employment during a drawdown of the federal government under the Trump administration, if you were fired because you never showed up to work or you just showed that you couldn't do your job, well, guess what? Virginia has to hire you first for any job for which you may be qualified. It's like, give us a guarantee that the taxpayers' dollars will be wasted based on the fact that the people that were forced to hire wasted the taxpayers' dollars. So that one is so bad. It kind of came in under the radar, which is why I think it's sitting on that 13 seed. You put this bill at a different seat in a different spot in the bracket, Senator Stanley, I think it can make a deep run. But the Garrett McGuire transport your weapons to your next door neighbor's house ban that says you can't take your gun on any street or road, that one, I don't know how it doesn't win. This is a tough 413, but 1524 is going to win and has the potential to make a pretty deep run. Senator Stanley.
So I got to agree with you. HB 1524 makes you a criminal if you go from your yard to your neighbor's yard or cross into another property that you're allowed to hunt on and you're carrying your firearm, you're doing some turkey hunting. Absolutely ridiculous and unconstitutional. That can't survive court scrutiny and judicial looks. But that's what makes it even a worse bill, because he knows that this is unconstitutional with HB 1524, and he filed it anyway, and he convinced all of the senators and all the House of Delegate members who were Democrats to vote for something that they knew was unconstitutional. It really doesn't matter whether it's constitutional or not. They don't care. They want to restrict Second Amendment gun rights. A very strong, stupid bill, HB 1524. But Guzman making a comeback. She's got 2 years here. She won her seat back. Forced hiring. Think of it this way. What we're doing is treating every private employer like a suspect and every hiring choice like a courtroom case. I mean, basically, you're not trusting the employer. you're trusting government to put standards in it. If it looks just a little bit like that you might have made a choice that they can interpret as prejudicial or unfair, guess what? We're going to clog up the courtrooms with that. That's a strong bill. This is going to be an overtime game. I'm telling you right now, I'm going with open carry to move on to the next round because it's so completely ridiculous and unconstitutional. It's never going to pass constitutional muster in a court of law. However, it may travel far in this bracket.
Delegate Lopez has a bill on ICE collaboration, which essentially says that no locality or law enforcement entity may enter into an agreement with federal law enforcement, specifically but not exclusively ICE, right? Et cetera, ad nauseum. This came on the wake when it came to the full house of the Stephanie Minter murder. There are 18, nearly 20% of the House of Delegates from all or part of Fairfax County alone. And every single one of them voted to make it harder for ICE to deport someone in the wake of the Stephanie Minter murder. And we walk through illegals who had been previously detained, who took lives or raped people or maimed people, and they couldn't be deported, not just in Fairfax, but disproportionately so. And they all voted to make you less safe. Now, here's the irony. Alfonso Lopez, chair of the House Agriculture Committee from Arlington, where agriculture is 4 plants and a grow light, he used to make money lobbying the federal government. Now, Google search it, to draw down money for ICE detention centers to deport people from the United States. He got years of income that far surpassed anything he makes in the General Assembly. And now, here's the double irony. Who was president when Alfonso Lopez was lobbying on behalf of funds for ICE detention centers? Well, Donald J. Trump, don't you know? So, I don't know. I mean, I guess if you go to Vassar and your name's Lopez, you can, act aggrieved when you fed your family in vacation using federal tax dollars to detain the very people who you now purport to seek to protect. Arlington keeps sending them down, so we keep getting bills like this. I mean, we could go into continued personal interest, but Bill, it's a waste of time. The ICE collaboration bill, the 3 seed, is going to be, this might be the smackdown of the March Badness tournament. ICE collaboration. Alfonso Lopez, I love ICE, give him more money back in the 20-teens. I hate ICE, don't cooperate with them today. It has to advance. You can't make this stuff up.
Got to agree with you. I think HB 1441 Lopez, ICE collaboration moves on to the next round. I mean, it's not even some competition there. Continuing personal interest, which is just making more conflicts of interest laws, restricting people from petitioning the government or working for interests that petition the government. It really seems to be a punishment to some of those people that they don't like. But I got to tell you, ICE collaboration, those ICE bills that came out this year, Saddam Salim and others, this is one that says our sheriffs, our independent constitutional officers cannot collaborate with ICE when you got a bad man in a jail who raped a kid, and we want to not only punish him but send him out of the country. To tweet, no, you can't do it. They got bills even that says you can't go and arrest illegal aliens. Guess where? At a polling place. Let me ask you a simple question. Why would they be at the polling place? To vote?
I don't know.
Specifically, you can't go to a polling place to get an illegal alien until he finishes clicking that ballot? What's going on here? This is madness. March Badness madness right here. This one, ICE collaboration, that's going into the Final Four. I got to tell you, I see that traveling very far.
I'm watching Democrats hand-wring and pearl clutch over ICE at polling places, and I'm thinking to myself, didn't they just tell me that no illegals ever voted? But maybe
exactly.
The whole truth would be no illegals ever been caught, and if we have our way, none ever will. So it's just insanity. And it's I don't know, Senator Stanley. I mean, folks, share this video and make people watch it. You need to understand just exactly what your next door neighbor voted for and help them. Help them. They can't fix stupid, but we together can. Okay, that takes us down to the 611.
That's easy.
Whoa, wow. Cannabis markets versus a minimum wage exception. I so when I was in federal office, I actually carried the bill to remove weed from the Schedule One controlled substances. What that means is no redeeming medical use. And when I was in the state Senate, I worked with a Democrat senator to get medicinal, not marijuana, but THC-free cannabinoids for kids with intractable seizures. All this stuff makes sense. It's freedom of choice. I hate the fact that justice that isn't blind isn't justice, and yet we keep marijuana illegal at the federal level and then ignore the fact that states have legalized it. The Democrats can't find enough stuff to tax, right? They destroy the tobacco industry. They lose the revenue from that. So we got to get our kids hooked on weed so that, we can make some tax revenue. They care more about money than they do people. And it's funny when the Democrats find like the need for like ID, right? You're going to need an ID to check into that hotel. You're going to need an ID to get onto that airplane. You're going to need an ID to get a library card. Well, you're going to need an ID not once, but twice to get into the weed dispensary. And so I said on the floor, hey, maybe we can get some Republican support for this if you just turn the weed dispensary into a polling place too. It's all about we got to tax and regulate this, folks. Look, I think that marijuana is probably something that if you do it occasionally, you might be a productive member of society. But if you do it a lot, you're never going to reach your full potential. At the end of the day, get the hell out of my living room. Federal government, state government, local government. But just because you should be allowed maybe to smoke a joint on your back porch doesn't mean that they need to create a tax-driven industry and use it, wait for it, Senator Stanley, to push social justice. This is a social
Correct.
justice weed bill. They've essentially said, well, we need to have these weed stores with lots of ID, background checks, etc., but not if white people own them. And so they've done that here, and that's absolutely stupid. I think it violates equal protection. You do not remedy past discrimination with present and future discrimination. So this is a bad bill on so many levels, regardless of what your opinion of marijuana is. I say don't use it, but if you want to use it, don't use it on the highways, because if you do, we should lock your behind up for endangering me and my family. At the end of the day, it's going against the minimum wage exception. Guess what? Virginia's agriculture and timber industries are the largest drivers of Virginia economy, bigger than data centers. Shocking, right?
Yeah.
Everything from banning gas-powered leaf blowers, which leads to weed eaters, which leads to tractors, to saying, hey, if you bring in out-of-nation seasonal labor, you have to pay them the same as Virginians, when almost always these folks get free room and board and electric and utilities, which is not considered in this. What it does is just crushes Virginia's agricultural industry. I don't know if it's intentional or not, but I do know that it's stupid. With that said, I think because it's sort of a sexier issue that the cannabis market is going to advance. So I think that one sneaks out, but I don't think either one of these is going deep. I think ICE collaboration crushes whomever wins that in the next round, Senator Stanley.
Cannabis market, down here in Southside and Southwest Virginia, we grew tobacco until the government said tobacco was bad. Now they're saying marijuana is good. We don't understand. But then they're saying we, the farmer who grew tobacco, can't grow it because you fall outside of one of those DEI engineered exceptions that drive the growth of this into a certain person in a certain marketplace. But what it also does is how dangerous it is. 350 stores. Localities cannot opt out, so you don't have a choice. Here comes your cannabis store. It's coming to a town near you. You can't stop it. And, that's like saying, they're saying like the kids won't get it because we have safety guards. That's like saying when I was younger and I paid some guy to go inside the 7-Eleven and get me a 6-pack of beer, that was foolproof too. Come on now, let's be honest. This is a terrible bill.
They went in and got you a bottle of Crown Royal. But even worse, Senator Stanley, even worse, it recriminalizes the sale of marijuana. I mean,
Correct. It also then creates higher criminal penalties
you want to get
for
rid of it or not?
marijuana. Our own Scott Servell, Senator Servell, we watched him do it. We didn't object while this crazy bill was going through courts committee. Put more penalties on the possession and growth of marijuana if it falls outside the cannabis marketplace that they're establishing. This is ridiculous. It's dangerous. And believe me, ladies and gentlemen, the weed that's grown today is not your grandfather's marijuana. It's not your grandpa's devil's lettuce. This stuff is dangerous. It's going to really hurt us in many ways. Not only that, you're talking about workers getting high before they go into their manufacturing jobs. You're talking about a danger to society. You're talking about a lineman up on a bucket truck trying to fix your power when it's out. And guess what? He's high as a kite, man. He's up there going, this is the greatest view ever. Anybody got a donut? This is crazy town. I think it gets farther than you think, even though I know ICE collaboration may move farther. Minimum wage exemption, you're just killing the agricultural industry. You were just killing it. Because all that money usually that they get paid that work in the farms, fields, goes back to the native country. I've talked to some of these workers who work 6 months out of the year, and they're rich when they get home. This is not affecting them. It affects the farmers. And that, I believe, is intentional, Tom. I appreciate your libertarian bent when it comes to marijuana. Crazy. Never thought about it that way. But I tell you what, both of these bills are dumb and dangerous and bad. I got to go with cannabis market. Moving on to the next round.
It absolutely is. And the war on Virginia's agricultural industry is, Kentucky and North Carolina and Tennessee will be sending us thank you notes, and our farmers will be moving off to free states. That takes us down to, and it gets really interesting here. Voting capacity, the 710, versus food allergy warnings. Wow. I mean, just when you thought it couldn't get any stupider, right? That you get a Nova Democrat House hold my beer moment. So what the HB 1014 7 seed says is if you've been adjudicated incapable of giving consent for intercourse or managing your own checking account or, entering into a contract, you're still allowed to vote. This is the Jimmy Carter just proudly voted for Kamala Harris image. Maybe the guy that does this video can edit that in here. So you can't tell peas from carrots, but you are a reliable Democrat voter with this bill. They would need a separate additional court hearing to adjudicate you incompetent to vote, despite the fact that you'd already been adjudicated incompetent to wipe your own rear end. But wait, food allergy warnings. So you think that's a strong 7 seed and it's going past with a slam dunk, but no, Marty Martinez, who literally doesn't know what day of the week it is, has got food allergy warnings. And it says that you have, if you run a restaurant and you have a menu with food items on it that might have an allergen, shellfish, peanuts, gluten, what have you, you need to say, hey, this item could have gluten, which is cool. I get that. In 7 languages. That's right, 7 languages. And Marty's picked the languages for us. It's English plus these 6 most commonly spoken languages in the state, which absolutely, positively, kind of, sort of might make sense, except that Tagalog, I don't know if I'm saying it right, doesn't make the list. That would be 7th or 8th, I guess. And it's like the 2nd or 3rd most commonly spoken language in parts of Hampton Roads, right? So you got, just shockingly, a difference from one part of the state to the next, but Marty doesn't care. He's going to cost these small business people time, money, and effort. Also, penalties if they don't properly comply. If you don't tell them that the Thai peanut sauce may contain peanuts in 7 languages, then sorry, your restaurant's closed. I don't know. I did do a floor speech where I read this is a bad bill in 7 different languages. The Democrats did not like that. To be fair, Senator Stanley, I did say Isde, Ilbe, Ize, Adbe, because that's the 2nd most commonly spoken language in Buckingham. But
Nice.
I don't know, man. Voter capacity. Yes, that person who doesn't know what day of the week it is and can't wipe their own rear end and has been adjudicated incompetent to give consent, sign a checkbook, or enter into a contract still gets to vote. Versus, hey, restaurant in Dillwyn, you don't have Mandarin Chinese on your food allergy list. What the heck? What do you think? Which one of these paragons of stupid advances to the next round?
We should change the name of this thing from March Badness to March Ridiculousness. I mean, this is ridiculous. What you're talking about here, food allergy warnings in 7 different languages. You're turning a menu into War and Peace. It's going to be this thick with the translations all there. If you know you got a peanut allergy, you know what to avoid. It's called peanuts.
No.
But they think that the voter, that the citizen is incapable, and what it also demonstrates, quite frankly, is no assimilation. You speak these languages, you don't have to learn English, you don't have to assimilate. We're going to make sure that you don't fall out and have an allergic reaction there at the restaurant. And we're also going to put that restaurant out of business as soon as it does not comply. A ridiculously stupid bill. But voting capacity, Kathy Tran, she always puts up something crazy and lefty. She's done it again. Voting capacity, I mean, look, my dad used to tell a joke that his grandfather lived in Chicago, Illinois. And he voted in every election. And he voted Republican in every election until he died. And then he started voting Democrat. That's basically what this bill is. This bill allows the incapacitated person to be wheeled in, and automatically they take their hand and they vote for the Democrat. That's dangerous. That's stupid. That insults the voter. It insults the voter integrity process. I got to go with the 7th seed, HB 1014, moving on to the next round.
One of the biggest ballot harvesting games for years has been activities coordinators at assisted living and nursing home facilities who are responsible for helping, and I quote, helping people vote, which sounds fine right up until you consider that it might mean voting for them, and walking out of facilities with bags full of ballots that are valid on their face, because you can, and they do it right in broad daylight. So it's crazy versus crazy in that 7-10. I don't even want to predict it. 2 versus 15. This is Senator Stanley. I think this is the strongest 15 seed in the field. I don't even think it's close. Right to an abortion sounds sort of like okay-ish on its face. I'm pro-life, period, full stop. However, there are lots of people in Virginia who are not. It baffles me when Republicans criticize, like former Governor Youngkin, for saying, hey, we need a ban at 15 or 20 weeks, and then say he's not pro-life enough. Look, guys, everything in legislation is incremental. Let me tell you the incremental on House Bill 781. This is a right to an abortion right up until the Ralph Northam moment where the baby's exited the womb, and then they make the baby comfortable and have a conversation about how best to murder it. So House Bill 781 also strips away the parental consent provisions. It creates potential criminal action against anybody who, quote unquote, interferes with the process of someone seeking an abortion. So we got a First Amendment problem because you can't talk to somebody about this sort of thing. It's you can literally be driving to the hospital on the way to deliver a baby after your water breaks with the baby crowning and change your mind and take a left turn to the abortionist, and this protects that. So it's ridiculous. But the strongest 15 seed in the field with the innocuous name digital property tax. Delegate Vivian Watts, making the simple complex since 1941, strikes again. Delightful person. But wow, it's not a digital property tax. It's a digital property tax and a tax on your gym membership and a tax on pet grooming and a tax on dog walking. I call it the tax it all, let God sort it out bill. Except I have bad news. Governor Spanberger is not God. So this is just a horrific omnibus tax everything bill. If it shows up in the brackets, Bill Stanley, as digital property tax, it's going to lose to right to abortion. It could, if people understand, and so this is going to really come down to who's coaching the team here, right? What style they want to play. If people understand that this is not just an Amazon tax, it's not just an Uber Eats tax, it's a dog walking, gym membership, pet grooming, etc. tax, that's a good 15 seed. I'll take right to abortion. I'm hopeful that the pro-life folks take the time to watch March Badness and vote in March Badness. But digital property tax does not begin to address the scope and breadth of the stupid in House Bill 978. It could well pull the upset. Bill.
Listen, they came into the General Assembly session in January of 2026. They said one word, affordability, and then proposed 51 new taxes to make your life less affordable. They tax sleep, they tax fun, they tax food, they tax your dog, they tax your cat. They're taxing everything. They're taxing your intellectual property, things you think up and put on the internet. You're going to get taxed for it. This is a tax. And in any other circumstance, I'm saying this thing goes to the Final Four. This is going to be a tight match. I'm pro-life unabashedly. This also allows children to get abortions, also allows babies to be killed after birth. A heinous, horrible thing. It's going to be decided in November and by constitutional amendment. We're going to enshrine abortion in our Constitution. That's what they're seeking to do. I think it's just a bridge too far for many Virginians. I want to go with right to abortion, but I just think that digital property tax, heck, I'm going to go with right to abortion. But
you
should have been a different seed.
Man,
I think digital property tax should have been a top 5 seed, but
we love the. I think the committee really, and I don't want to be critical. These women and men put a lot of time in, burned the midnight oil. You had 100 bills easily that could have made the field. The bubble was huge, but the seeding makes you scratch your head. Bill, I'm always afraid to give the Democrats ideas, but if they thought of a beard tax, Oh, I'd be so broke I couldn't afford to pay attention. So, what will they think of next, folks? That is the House Democrat Nova bracket. I think it's the strongest bracket in the field, but this is, and by strongest, I mean odoriferously speaking, this is crazy. We got one bracket left.
One more.
Rova Senate, or sorry, Nova,
Nova
Northern
Senate.
Virginia Senate Democrats. You guys, there's a lot going on. You need to tell your friends to vote no on or before April 21st. Share this video and tune in. And look, we're going to have an event on the night of April 21st in Richmond, Virginia. Details to be announced. Come down and watch the Sweet 16 played out live on stage before your very eyes and vote in person, all to support a good cause. Bill Stanley, I can't thank you enough for doing this with me. I love you, man. We got one more to go.
Love you too.
March Badness 2026.